Shalom. Instead of the regular Parashat HaShavua, which is Parashat Emor, we will delay our usual commentary on the Parashat HaShavua, and instead I would like to speak about a great man in the history of the Jewish people. This man is Rabbi Meir, known as Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. Tonight, I'm talking today, which is Thursday, and tonight is the beginning of Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach. I'm sure many of you know about Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach, which is tomorrow. The whole day is known. It's a day in which there is no tahanun, no supplications. It's almost like a holiday. We eat matzah, even though it's not a law, but it's a custom to eat matzah tomorrow and beginning tonight, of course, as it is Pesach Sheni. What happened in Pesach Sheni? Why do we have a second Pesach suddenly? And by the way, it says so in the Torah, in Parashat Be'alotcha. What happened? As you know, on Erev Pesach, the Jewish people received the first commandment of the Torah, which was to tell them that they should bring a korban immediately after they stopped being slaves in Egypt, even before their sortie, before the total redemption, before they came out. On that Shabbat HaGadol, they already took care of the little lamb to be sacrificed and eaten on the eve of Pesach. And when they came out, and the Jewish people also kept this law for many hundreds of years. But the first year that the Jewish people kept this commandment, there were many Jews who took care of all the dead. And it is known that when you touch the dead or you are in the same room with it, the corpse, from the corpse emanates a great contamination, maybe the hardest and the biggest kind of contamination. And therefore, all those that took care of all the corpses and all the dead, when they came out from Egypt, they were impure, not pure enough to attend the ceremony of the Korban Pesach, of the sacrifice of the lamb, and therefore they could not participate. And then those who could not participate, they came to Moshe, and they said to Moshe, it's not fair that we should be exempt from this great mitzvah, not to participate in the mitzvah, the first mitzvah of the Torah. We should be exempt? No, we don't want that. Why? We did a great mitzvah, we took care of the dead, and that's why we should be completely eliminated in such a way. Lama nigara, the Torah says. Why should we be any lesser than all the rest of the Jewish people? Well, Moses understood that this is a claim that is quite justified. So he turned to God. What should we do? And God, with his magnanimous way, he said, yes, Moshe, they are definitely correct. Therefore, to allow them to eat the Korban Pesach, first one on the 14th of Nisan, we cannot. They are impure, and that's against the Torah. So we'll wait for them after they become pure again, which should take a week or 2 weeks later. But in a month, exactly on the 14th of Iyar, which is tomorrow, by the way, Pesach Sheni, they will have a second Pesach. All those that could not participate in the Korban Pesach, they will be able to eat the lamb of Pesach on the 14th of Nisan. And since then, of course, now we don't have anymore the Paschal lamb, because we don't have anymore the temple. It has been destroyed, and since then we don't have the mitzvah of Korban Pesach, but we believe it will come back again. What about Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach? Well, if Bet HaMikdash will be rebuilt, there probably will be people who are not pure enough to attend on the 14th day of Nisan. Perhaps they will have the same opportunity to do it on the second, but that's beyond us. We don't know. We don't even know if sacrifices will resume when the temple will be rebuilt. For that, we already mentioned in some of the drashot the machloket between Harambam and Haramban. According to the Rambam, he does not believe that sacrifices will happen again because of many reasons, very logical reasons. And the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, is against his opinion, and he says, of course, we pray every day that God should bring back again the ceremony of the Bet Hamikdash, and sacrifices will go on again. So, as the Rambam says, Maimonides says, when it will happen, we shall know. When כשיבוא נדע. When the Mashiach will come, then we shall know what to do. By tradition, we know that tonight is also the Hilula of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. I used to do this Hilula in New York many years. Hilula, even though it's only a few days before the great Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is next week. Nevertheless, people came and we enjoyed and rejoiced in the Hilula of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. So, tonight is the night in which apparently is the Hilula of Rabbi Meir. The truth is that we are not sure whether the Hilula of Rabbi Meir was indeed on Pesach Sheni, but there are opinions, as I have seen in the book of Minhagim, of the customs, where it says that truly Rabbi Meir was born on Chanukah, which is the festival of lights, and that's why he was given the name Meir, which means he lightens, he gives light, and that's why his name was Rabbi Meir. But how come we do the Hilula a few days before Lag BaOmer, and in fact it is tomorrow, which is Pesach Sheni? Why? Because, as I read, whether it's true or not, but there is such a tradition that in fact, even though he did not, the Hilula, the real Hilula is not that, is not on Pesach Sheni, but it has become customary to do it on Pesach Sheni because these people are preparing themselves to come to the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai after Tiberiad and Meron in Tzfat, to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So, since Rabbi Meir is in Tiberiad on the way to Meron, so therefore the city of Tiberiad says it will be extremely important for the city to survive if we organize the Hilula of Rabbi Meir to be on Pesach Sheni. This will be, people will come anyway for Rabbi Shimon, they will pass by Tiberiad, and this way the city will benefit from their presence. You know, it's possible. Anyway, I said let me dedicate this lecture to Rabbi Meir, to his Torah, to his great personality. And why is it that Rabbi Meir has become a name that is glorified in the hearts of so many Jews all over the world, especially Sephardic Jews or Moroccan Jews, who believe very much in the name Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, and whenever they need to pray for some ailment or any problem, they light a candle in memory of Rabbi Meir, and they believe that it will help. And indeed, there is a tradition, and the Kabbalists also believe in that very much. And since it has been our tradition to always celebrate the Hilula of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes on Pesach Sheni, so I said, let me give a lecture about Rabbi Meir. As far as the parasha, if I have time, maybe I will do it tonight or tomorrow or even next week, the parashat Emor, which is also going to talk about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the Sefirat HaOmer and the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon. Coming back to Rabbi Meir. Who was Rabbi Meir? First, he lived on the 4th generation of the sages of the Tanaim, the Mishnah, the sages of the Mishnah. That's approximately 1800 years ago, after the destruction of the temple, of course. He was the disciple of Rabbi Akiva, the great man of all times. And Rabbi Meir was one of the 5 pupils of Rabbi Akiva that remained alive. As you know, I don't have to remind you, my friends, these days are days of great danger because of the corona pestilence that has fallen upon the world and still is causing so much havoc in the world, and many people die, and the land of Israel has not been exonerated. It's also paying maybe not as much as the nations of the world, but still we are suffering in especially in Jerusalem, the holy city, in which there are so many thousands of people who have been infected. And hopefully it will come to an end. Perhaps it will come to an end on Lag BaOmer next week. Hopefully, I don't know. But we know, according to our tradition, and the Talmud says that why is it that, as you know, we are not allowed to take any haircut since Pesach until Lag BaOmer, the 33 days of the Omer. Why? Because on that day, you see, before Lag BaOmer, in the time of Rabbi Akiva had 24,000, some say even double, 24,000 students, all of them great sages. And they all died in a terrible calamity that befell the world at that time. And this calamity went on for a while, destroying so many in the world. Among them, practically most of the Talmidim, of the disciples of Rabbi Akiva, perished. But the calamity itself, this pestilence, this magefa, this virus, came to an end on Lag BaOmer. Because of that, we don't take any haircuts all these days between Pesach and Lag BaOmer. But on Lag BaOmer, since this calamity came to an end, so now people start again to get married, and they start again to take haircuts. The Kabbalists do not take haircuts until Shavuot, but that's because of other reasons. But we told you now the reason. Now, Rabbi Akiva lost 24,000 students. We know that Rabbi Akiva was the greatest man in his generation. And of course he does not give up easily. But who would not give up after teaching all his life? So many students, and he was already of great age, 80 years old. And he saw that all his work has come to nothing. Anyone would have given up. But he quoted the verse of King Solomon who said, "Baboker zera zar'acha." In the morning, you have to sow your wheat. "Vela'erev al tanach yadcha." But towards the evening, do not rest. Go on again. So Rabbi Akiva used this verse on himself, and he says, yes, indeed, I have sown so much throughout the years, and now all is gone. I will continue anyway. Even if it is the end, I will continue. In the meantime, our sages say that he had left only, of all the thousands of students that he had only left 5 great rabbis. Those great rabbis known in the Talmud as Rabbotenu Shebat Darom, our masters of the south of Israel, they were known as, they were Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Ilai, maybe Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, if I am not wrong, I don't know. Rabbi Yossi was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, of course, and Rabbi Elazar. Those were the 5 Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva that were left. And yet, it says in the Midrash Rabbah Bereshit, Hem mil'u kol Eretz Israel Torah. Those 5 students of Rabbi Akiva filled up the land of Israel with Torah. So we understand they were great. So now we understand that the Rebbe of Rabbi Meir, from whom he got most of his Torah, was Rabbi Akiva. He did have another Rebbe. His name is Elisha ben Avuya, very famous because of this tragic story that has to do with him. This is the great rabbi who lost his faith and he became an atheist. So we don't call him anymore Elisha the son of Avuya, we call him Elisha Acher, Elisha, the other Elisha, because he was not the same Elisha. Our sages say in the Talmud in Masechet Hagigah on page 15, the whole story appears there, how he lost his faith. He went with all three other rabbis, Rabbi Akiva, Ben Zoma, and Ben Azai, and the fourth one was Elisha ben Avuya. They knew the whole Torah, only they wanted to pursue deeper their learning of Torah by knowing the secrets of the Torah. So the Talmud calls it, they went into the garden of God. Arba'a alu bepardes. And, when you exaggerate, perhaps there is a cost. So our sages say that Ben Zoma lost his mind, Ben Azai passed away, and then Elisha lost his faith. We don't have the time now to tell you what happened, why he lost his faith. It has to do with what he saw. Spiritually, so the angel Metatron was sitting, and it was against the knowledge that he accumulated, and therefore he thought that perhaps everything is a lie. The only rabbi who went together with them into the great depth of the Torah was Rabbi Akiva, and he's the only one who went in peace and came out in peace. Still, Elisha ben Avuya was one of the greatest sages of his generation, and he was the teacher of Rabbi Meir. It is known, for example, that Rabbi Meir tried very much to convince him to repent, to come back again to Judaism. He did not succeed. There is the story, the Talmud says, that at the end of his life, Elisha, when Rabbi Meir came to see him when he was about to die, so he noticed, he asked Elisha, he said to him, Rebbe, come back. And he said to him, and he answered him, I cannot come back, because I heard the heavenly voice came out, everyone has the right to repent and come back to God, except Elisha Acher. But Rabbi Meir noticed that his Rebbe is sighing, he's giving a sigh. So he said, perhaps my Rebbe has repented. And then he left him. Now, we find in the Talmud in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 86, that Rabbi Meir has a great role in organizing the Mishnah. We know that on the last, he was on the fourth generation of the sages of the Mishnah. But Rabbeinu HaKadosh was the fifth and last generation of the Mishnah. He is the one who assembled and organized all the Mishnayot, and thus he has practically saved the future of the Jewish people, which is another lecture. But nevertheless, Rabbi Meir was one of the greatest men of the Mishnah. In fact, every Mishnah that appears with giving us a law without a name, the name does not appear. We all have the belief that it is Rabbi Meir, and we call it Stam Mishnah Rabbi Meir. Whenever the Mishnah presents the law without a name, it is probably the name of Rabbi Meir. Why is it that the name of Rabbi Meir was not included? Some believe it's because of his great humility. He didn't want his name to be known on the Mishnah. Some say it's because Rabbeinu HaKadosh, he was not so much for the opinions of Rabbi Meir, even though he respected him very much, but his opinion was against, so therefore he did not put his name in the Mishnah. Where is the truth? We don't know. It doesn't matter really. But everyone knew the greatness of Rabbi Meir. For example, it says in the Masechet Sanhedrin on page 24, it says, Amru alav al Rabbi Meir. They say about Rabbi Meir, כל הרואה רבי מאיר בבית המדרש כאילו עוקר הרי הרים ותוכן זה בזה. Anyone who sees Rabbi Meir in the house of study, it's like someone who's taking mountains upon mountains and grind them And that's how, of course, they show you how great is his learning, with tremendous genius, and so forth. So that's Rabbi Meir. In fact, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, even though, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, that's Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, known in the Talmud as Rabbi, because he was also the greatest man in his generation and the leader of his generation. But he was not really in the time of Rabbi Meir, maybe a little bit. The Talmud says that when he studied in the house of study, when he was young, then Rabbi Meir was also present in that house of study, but Rabbeinu HaKadosh sat behind Rabbi Meir and never saw his face. So the Talmud tells us that, it says in the Talmud in Masechet Sanhedrin, Kol haro'eh Rabbi Meir. Rabbeinu HaKadosh himself, he said that, Lo zachiti laharifut. Rabbeinu HaKadosh says, if I deserve to be a great man in Torah and sharp, I received this sharpness just because I had the merit to see the back of Rabbi Meir. Imagine if I had the merit to see his face, how greater I would be. And that testifies to the fact that even Rabbeinu HaKadosh knew how great was Rabbi Meir. If you go further into the generations, on the first generations of the Talmud, of the Gemara, the Emoraim, the time of Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish said when he wanted to tell us who is Rabbi Meir, because he learned his words, right? And he taught his words. So he said only a word about Rabbi Meir, Pe Kadosh, a holy mouth. Now you understand that that's what it says in the Talmud in Masechet Sanhedrin on page 23, that he calls him Pe Kadosh. His mouth was a mouth of holiness. So that teaches us who is Rabbi Meir also. Now apparently, the halakha was not decided according to the opinion of Rabbi Meir. If Rabbi Meir was so great that they say that anyone who saw him in the Bet HaMidrash, it's like if he saw someone grinding mountains upon mountains with his learning. So how come the law was not according to him? In most cases, of course. We're going to say that there is one case or two in which we find that the law goes according to Rabbi Meir. I'll tell you what is the case in which the law goes according to Rabbi Meir. There was a machloket, a dispute between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Are the Jews, about this question, Jews who are not observant, are they still considered the children of God or not? According to Rabbi Yehuda, a Jew to be considered a son of God, he must be a Torah observant and does observe all the commandments. According to Rabbi Meir, he said, no. Whether he is a righteous man or not, a Jew is always the son of God. And he says that the Torah says, Banim atem lashem elokechem. By the way, this is brought in Masechet Kiddushin on page 36. And there it says that the Torah says, Banim atem lashem elokechem. You are the children of God. God calls you my children. So now Rabbi Meir says, Banim atem, you are his children whether you are good or bad. And he brings really, there are proofs to that. For example, we find at the end of the Torah that Banim in Parashat Azinu, Banim lo emun bam, my children that I cannot trust. So that means that even when you cannot trust them, they are still considered his children. Or as it says in the book of Isaiah, I think chapter 1, and there it says, Banim gidalti veromamti vehem pashubi. I have educated and aggrandized my children, and yet they have betrayed me, so to speak. So that means even though they betrayed God, they still are considered his children. So from this, Rabbi Meir derives that Jews are always considered the children of God, despite the fact that they are not doing the proper thing. Of course, that doesn't mean that we are allowed to do anything we want. God forbid. Only we are children of God, and we have to contend with everything that we do. We do good, we are rewarded. We do bad, we are punished. No question about it. But as it says in the Pirkei Avot, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek le'olam haba, being the children of God, that gives us the guarantee that even whether it is before Gehinnom, hell, or after hell, or after all the punishments of the world, but there is always that portion in the world to come that is reserved for the children of God. So now coming back to the question, why is it that the law was not decided, the halakha was not decided according to Rabbi Meir? Well, there is an interesting answer regarding this. It says, one of the rabbis of the Talmud, Rabbi Aha, the son of Rabbi Hanina, said, "Galui ve'yadua lifnei mi she'amar ve'aya olam." It is quite evident in the eyes of God, the creator of the world, she'en bedoro shel Rabbi Meir kemoto, that there is no one that can equal in greatness Rabbi Meir. No one in his generation is as great as Rabbi Meir. So how come then? Why is it that the law doesn't go according to his opinion? Ela, the Gemara, the Talmud says, lo yachlu chaverav la'amot al da'ato, because his partners in learning could not know exactly what is his opinion. He was such a genius that for something that is not kosher, he could give you 70 proofs that it is kosher, and after that he will tell you again 70 more reasons that it's not kosher. So now what do? You don't know exactly what is really his opinion. She'amar al tameh tahor ve'al tahor tameh umar elo panim, and he gives you proofs for everything that he wants to say. So how can you decide the halakha according to him? But nevertheless, we should not forget that he was named Rabbi Meir. Our sages say, why was he named Rabbi Meir? He was given the name Rabbi Meir, which means the man who gave light. In fact, it says in the Talmud, I'll tell you this one also. It says in the Talmud in Masechet Eruvin on page 13, it says there that his real name was Rabbi Nehorai. By the way, Rabbi Nehorai is also, Nehora in Aramaic means light. So his name was Rabbi Nehorai. So why was he called Rabbi Meir? Because he gave the light to the people of Israel and to the sages of Israel with his great learning. That's why he was known as Rabbi Meir. So that's another sign of greatness, right? He was known also as a great man, as a darshan. Not only in halakha he was great, he was also known for his meshalim, for his parables. He was known for his great lectures that he used to give, and he was beloved by everyone. Even women would come to listen to his lectures. Sometimes his lectures would take hours, and yet women would be there because he was very much beloved by all. In fact, there is a story that is brought in the Yerushalmi, Masechet Sota, where it says that, which by the way proves how much he loved the people and how much he wanted to sacrifice himself and his honor just for the purpose to bring peace between husband and wife. So there is such a story in the Talmud, in the Yerushalmi Masechet Sota, where it says the following, that a woman, the night of Shabbat, he always on Friday night he would give a lecture. One Friday night his lecture took longer than usual. Among the people who listened to him was a woman. And the lady, among other ladies, was listening, and she forgot that her husband is waiting at home. Waiting, as he is not such a great scholar. So he was waiting and waiting for her to come to do kiddush so that they can eat. But she didn't pay attention to the time. And when Rabbi Meir finally concluded his lecture, it was already very late. She came back home, and her husband was so angry. Where were you? She found that there is no light in the house. All the candles have extinguished, and now there is no light. He said to her, where were you? She said, well, I was listening to the lecture of the rabbi. He said, oh yeah? Well, get out now from my house until you go and spit on the face of that rabbi, and then you can come back home. She came out, she went to one of the neighbors, she spent the night there. First Shabbat was without her house, the second Shabbat, the third Shabbat. In the meantime, of course, all the neighbors knew the situation, and they understood, so they told her, you know what? Rabbi Meir is giving again his lecture on Friday night. Come with us. We have, come with us. Well, they came and they said, Rabbi Meir, with his spiritual wisdom, he understood what's going on. So when he saw the lady, so he suddenly said in the middle of his lecture, my eye is giving me problems. Is there any lady here who can spit on my eye? Because spitting on the eye can provide some cure to my problem in my eyes. So the ladies there immediately turned to the lady and they said to her, this is the opportunity, you have a great opportunity, go and spit on his eyes, and you could go back to your husband, telling him that you did it. She said, how can I do it? I am afraid to do it. I cannot spit on the face of the holy man. Rabbi Meir understood that. So he told her, lady, maybe you can do it 7 times. I need someone, please, 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 please. So she had no choice. She came and he said to her, my daughter, please spit on my eyes 7 times. She did it 7 times. After that, he said to her, go back to your husband and tell him, you asked me to do it once. I did it 7 times for you. And she went back home and there was peace again. And that shows the greatness of Rabbi Meir. There's so much more to talk about Rabbi Meir. Unbelievable stories and unbelievable things. We all know that Rabbi Meir is one of the most adored name by the Jewish people, and his name by itself, like for example, I'll give you an example by which we will conclude. Whenever a person finds himself in trouble, all he has to say is 3 times, Elahade Meir Aneni, God of Meir, please answer me. 3 times, and Be'ezrat Hashem, things will be all right. Let's hope and pray that as we have dedicated this lecture to Rabbi Meir, then the merit of Rabbi Meir will help us in our days, in these days of danger, that God should bring healing upon all those who have been infected with this terrible corona. And may He bring healing upon the sick sick people of Israel, as well as the sick people all over the world. And may the zechut of Rabbi Meir be upon all of us. Amen. Let's say Shabbat Shalom until further notice. Shabbat Shalom.